What's up, everybody? It is me, KiNGAlpha. Hope everybody's doing great. So, I'm finally giving you the Pike guide, and a couple of things I want to state here first before I really dive into anything. This is going to be a guide in terms of telling you about the builds that you can do, telling you about the skills a little bit, not too in depth about the skills, just basically how I place my skills and everything, and then also what units to use that are best combined with the Pike class, and then that's about it. I'm going to be making a second guide, or basically a gameplay guide, in terms of talking about Pike, because the thing is, when I was making the guide the first time, I went so in depth about the skills, and then I went so in depth about the skills, explaining the class and everything, that I got to the point that I was almost a 42-minute long video, and I still hadn't showed any gameplay of me talking about how to fight and different scenarios, things like that. So this is going to be a guide in terms of build, runes, the unit builds and everything that you can use, and then that's about it. Honestly, I love this class and everything, but I don't want the guide to be over like 40 something minutes long. So I'm going to try and keep this one at least 15 to 20 minutes tops. Regardless, if you guys do want to check out the description, you guys can check out my Twitch channel, my Discord, and also use the KiNGAlpha code in the marketplace. I would appreciate it. Regardless, let's go over the build. So guys, I put 20 points into armor, and then literally the rest of the points into agility, right? So this gives me a base 111, and then we have basically all the other stuff here. Now, the Star Piercer, a lot of people are wondering, what is the best thing to actually get in the Star Piercer? Like, what are, is it agility? Is it strength? Is it this or that? My luck, sadly, with the Star Piercer, I've crafted 4 Star Piercers, and I've only gotten basically strength stats. Now, okay, they're all come out legendary, but like, which one's the best one? And honestly, I kept the strength one because it was overall balancing for the class, because the class still does have things where it goes based off of, if you look at strength, it goes piercing, armor penetration, slashing damage, and blunt damage. The class does all of that. So strength for Pike isn't that bad. It's not like a full strength Pike build, but in terms of like actually what you're going for, in the Star Piercer, you definitely want agility, but if you get strength, it's actually not that bad as well, because there's a certain skill that you can use that will go off the strength build. Next, I'm gonna be obviously wearing all medium armor. I know a lot of people are like, okay, but what about mixing in terms of the Carnifex gloves and mixing it with the Blizzard set, or mixing it with that? Personally, I have not tried that yet, because I don't know. I understand the damage and everything like that. However, um, in terms of actually just getting more damage, I feel like Pike does a lot of damage by itself. And just having these 10 extra attributes in terms of everything for the Pike balances the class out really well, because it's one of those classes where you can go in and dive in and die immediately. So just going for extra damage and things, I don't know. And plus, it depends on leadership too, because the other set, like the Blizzard set, doesn't have the leadership, and then that new set does have the leadership, but it's not really entirely worth it. So let's go over the actual Star Piercer as well. So as you can see, everything is kind of like more balanced out. You get the plus 10 from everything. However, I'm going to show you why some of the other stats seem a bit higher than other things. So for the Star Piercer, I use, after using Cold Dragon or Green Dragon, Iron Penetration is increased by 12% for 6 seconds. This is really good because you're using your ult and you're basically getting that extra armor penetration for your skills, and then especially because of the fact that you have an ultimate finisher, you will be doing 12% more damage for armor for 6 seconds, which is really good. And then after dodging, movement speed is increased by 20%. This effect rapidly diminishes. It's like 1 or 2 seconds. And it does still help out. It's like a little mini speed boost. It does still help out. I know a lot of people are like, this is kind of useless, but to be real, if you're going to be replacing this with these two and putting these two, I don't know. Like, even though the extra stats is there, like the movement speed is still really nice and can get you away from certain situations, especially if heroes are chasing you. Next, we're going to go over the Carnifex helmet. I went with the extra health. So death nearby allies will recover, like after death, nearby allies will recover 8% health. This is really good for me because it increases your health as well by 3%, but also it does increase your unit's health or anybody else's around you, like AoE health and everything, which is still really nice because it's a little bit of a buff for the team. I am a team player and everything, so um yeah, but in terms of everything, I know some people would replace this with the bandage healing improved by 25%. Personally, I don't mind. You know, the healing has healed me enough most of the times that I do heal up to max health. You know, sometimes it doesn't heal me all the way, but in terms of this, like increasing my health and everything, and the after death is really nice overall for AoE and type stuff. Next, I did go with the increased toughness by 7. So basically, that's an extra 700 health, which is really, really nice. Instead of the crit value, and I'm going to talk about why maybe I did take this off of the crit value build that I was doing and, you know, putting it more towards the other thing because honestly, crit value is just really bleh right now. So we're going to go and talk about the crit value right now and why it's not really there is because on your chest piece, you can actually increase critical defense by 220, which is a big factor because of the fact that, you know, basically, you know, longbows, dual blades, longbows, short bows, you know, basically any type of crit, a high crit value. Yeah, it's still good, but there's a lot of crit defense right now. So for example, usually a dual blade can one-shot me, sometimes he can't, because the crit value is just not there. And next but not least, I do have the increased health by 300 and then all defenses by 10 points, which is really good because I could do the increased armor here. However, the increased health and armor is still really good. Because personally, you know, any type of increase in health for a medium armor class is still really good. You want to be as tanky as possible. And yeah, the extra armor is good, but it's not giving you that extra 300 health, which, you know, that, like I always say in my videos, you never know when that extra little health can save you from, you know, a dual blade ult, or you getting ulted by multiple things. Next, let's go over here. Also, I am very sorry. I am very dumb as well. I'm going to make sure I take my camera off and everything so that you guys can see everything that I'm talking about. That was my bad. Next for the boots, we have the movement speed is increased by 4%. And then upon death, nearby allies gain 10% movement speed for 10 seconds, which is really good. Honestly, everybody around you is getting that movement speed and everything is really nice. Now, I know a lot of people like to do this, which is the healing can be performed while moving, and cooldown is increased by 15 seconds. Yeah, this has helped a lot of people. This has saved a lot of people because you do sprint and move really, really fast. However, it's just for me, I'm a typical player. I typically always heal whilst, you know, standing still, so I don't mind, and I'm always pretty safe about it. But the movement speed by 4% is really, really good, and I basically think it's needed because that extra movement speed can really help you out in terms of everything. So I would definitely go for this. Honestly, the reduced fall damage by 30%, I think if you're basically just getting constantly just thrown by Maul, I guess you could run this, but personally, I don't run this either. And then for the level 1 rune, you basically get the increased agility by 7 points. This is really important for the Pike class, especially because of the fact that it does mainly run off agility. One thing I wanted to say before as well, for any new players coming back or anything, this season they have put it where rune power is actually lower, so it's at 3 for each of the actual armor pieces and everything, whereas before it was at 5 for these, but you know, and even for, you know, like as the weapon. But yeah, this season it was changed to the fact that there was 3 rune power, but you can basically put runes on all your like all your armor pieces. So just wanted to, you know, specify that. Last but not least, increased damage dealt by 3%, and then after death, nearby allies will deal 10% more damage, and you know, for 10 seconds, which is really, really good. I think one of the big things a lot of people are probably noticing is the fact that they did take out the fact that you can like increase your armor penetration, increase your piercing damage, like by itself. They've really changed out how the runes are and everything, so you definitely need to pay attention to that. I did increase the strength by 7 points instead of actually doing the damage because the increase in strength actually helps out a certain skill, which I definitely need, and it does help out overall. And I'm gonna tell you about which skill actually goes off of the actual blunt damage and everything. 1 second, real quick though. I am gonna mute the sound because the thing. Oh, sound. I am going to mute the sound because of the fact that every time I'm going to hover over these skills, they're actually going to play the animation, and it gets really annoying trying to talk over the sounds. So we're going to go over the characteristics first, and then I'm going to go over each skill in terms of just basically what they do, and then we'll go into the unit build. So characteristics. They have chain combos. The different stages of each skill can be used with one another in a short period of time and will share the same cooldown, which is really cool. It's one of the first classes that basically has really low cooldowns. However, they're all chain comboed, so you have to basically do the right combos at the right times, etc. Then you have a combo finisher. So after using an ultimate skill, you can use another skill's final stage, which is this is the first class as well that has basically an ultimate after the ultimate, which is really cool. Well, it's like a mini ultimate, whatever. And then the sure and steady. So every normal attack hits an enemy, and you get the strong as storm effect, each attack of which increases all types of damage by 4% and can stack up 3 times. So this is basically almost like think of Hurricane's Edge, where when you're actually hitting them with Hurricane's Edge, you're actually getting like a buff in terms of damage and things like that. It's basically this, but you have to do normal attacks, which the normal attacks are really fast, so you can get that damage stack really nice. Now let's go over each of the skills. I'm going to go over the water dragon first. I put water dragon on Q because I think personally it best suited right there. So water dragon has its first little proc, which is basically that first big stab. So I'm going to keep going over that first big stab right there. Not that second stab that he does, but basically what it does is that the when you press it one time, you basically rush forward 3 meters until connecting with an enemy, and then it deals 80% of base piercing damage. So this goes off of the piercing damage right here. Then you have the secondary move, which is the basically just that second big stab that he does, which it rushes 5 meters forward and connects with the enemy. So definitely they go by basically the first press and the second press go by a little bit more damage, but also you going a little bit 2 more meters further, if that makes sense. And then this is like the third part of the skill, which is that you basically do a little bit of a stab, and then you stab 3 times, and then you do a really big freaking jab forward with your pike, and it basically can send the enemy flying. So you basically do this for heroes in terms of like if they're trying to get away. I've done this multiple times. It's an amazing skill, but you can also do this for units as well. So how this works is that the fact that if I press water dragon first and then I go and press another skill, it's going to basically go 1, 2, and then let's say 3. So let's say I wanted to press this skill, I press this skill once, and then I go over here and I do the second skill, which is that skill, and then you basically hit the button again for water dragon. You're basically gonna it's chain comboing the skills. So you can do water dragon 3 times in a row, or you can do water dragon, then sky dragon, and then water dragon again. There's a mix of everything because of the fact that it is a chain. These are chain combos, so you're chain comboing these skills. Next but not least, we have the sky dragon. So the sky dragon is basically one of the chain combo skills. And the thing is, though, you can't really change any of these. These are the only skills that you actually can choose. And so for sky dragon, you press it once and you do get that little bit of a little quick slap. I love doing that little quick slap because it does do a lot of blunt damage. This is the skill that I was talking about that goes off strength. It does a lot of damage in terms of blunt damage and everything, which is really strong because of the fact that like people typically always have low blunt defense, and it really will help in terms of actually making sure that you kind of execute that hero. I typically use like that first little slash as well for units and everything if I really want to get that little quick proc of crit on their back or anything. It's a really nice quick hit in case anybody's on the floor and everything, so that you can actually go into the chain combos of actually using the skill. The second bit of Sky Dragon is actually doing that little leap strike, so it can knock back the enemy, which is pretty good in terms of like if a hero is trying to do a skill or something, you can actually do this, and since it's knocking back the enemy, it basically can stop them doing a skill or whatever, which is really nice. And then the last but not least, it is Sky Dragon. So he does the spin with the pike and basically knocks heroes back, and then it also knocks enemies down. So if you're actually doing this last skill to units, the units get knocked down, whereas heroes get knocked back. But this is the skill that goes based off of all like blunt damage and everything, which is really nice. And this is why I say strength is actually not that bad, because I do use Sky Dragon a lot. and I really do enjoy it. Next but not least, we have Wandering Dragon. So Wandering Dragon is basically the escape. The big thing about Wandering Dragon is the fact that when you press it once, you're moving back 5 meters. You press it twice, you're moving back 6 meters. And then you press it 3 times and you're running back 8 meters. But there's a lot of extra effects here that are really, really important. So on the first press, basically, you only remove days. So removing days is really, really important. This does also go all off slashing damage. So this is an extra strength skill as well. However, so we remove daze with the first press, then we come over here for the second press, and it actually knocks back enemies, and then all types of damage and armor penetration are increased by 15% for 6 seconds, which is really important because when you use the second proc of Wandering Dragon, if you actually want to go into your ult, you're getting that increase of damage and armor penetration by 15% for 6 seconds. So doing Wandering Dragon at least on the second proc is really, really good because of the fact that you do get that armor and, you know, the damage increase for by 15% for 6 seconds is really important. Last but not least is the last skill. So this last skill is actually really important if you time it right. You remove daze, knockdown, and stunned effects. A lot of this is coming from the fact that obviously we have a lot of classes like short sword, poleaxe, and things like that that can knock you down. And if you're actually on your third proc of Wandering Dragon, you can basically make sure that you get out of a very bad scenario if you do time it right. So typically when you know a short sword's about to ult, or a poleaxe is about an ult, and you do this skill and everything, you can actually dodge and basically get out of it if you actually time it right. Now it does take skill, and over time you'll eventually get it to the point where you know that if you, instead of using the third proc on another skill, like let's say you want to do a third proc on these skills, but yet you want to save that third proc for Wandering Dragon, it can save you a lot because of the fact that it does also give you increased movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. So this is kind of where the movement speed things are really good, because Pike is that ultimate escape class for sure. I've definitely escaped loads of times. Last but not least, let's go over the ults and the variations. So Cold Dragon. So Cold Dragon basically goes off of slashing damage, which is really important. I know a lot of people don't like this ult, but personally, this ult is actually really good in terms of opening things up, because it does remove daze and knockdown effects, but it also sends enemy soldiers flying and knocks back heroes, which is really, really big in terms of if you want to be that AoE type Pike. Where if you want to do that AoE type Pike, you definitely want to go into mainly probably armor or toughness in terms of being like that AoE type Pike, and you know, more or less straight for the team. Which then, if you are going to be doing that as well, you definitely should change into Green Dragon and Cold Dragon cooldown, so that you can constantly be doing this this ult if you're not really caring about damage. Next is the Green Dragon ult. So the Green Dragon ult is I think one of the best ults for sure, because of the fact that oh, excuse me, if you charge it for 0.5 seconds, you can actually rush 4 meters. However, when you charge it longer, there's a little bit of different effects. So if you only charge it up to under 0.5 seconds, you only can knock back enemies, which knocking back enemies is a bit different than knocking down or sending enemies flying. It's definitely different. The damage is definitely different as well. So it's all really important. The one thing about Green Dragon though is that you do need to charge it up, and it uses your stamina. So if you have low stamina or something, you're actually going to be kind of hurting yourself, because you're not going to be able to actually charge it up for longer so that you can actually get these better procs. So if you charge it to 0.5 to 1 second, you actually rush forward 6 meters, and it deals that much damage, but it also does knock down the enemies to the ground, which is really good. But if you charge it 1 second, charge it a second plus, you basically get 8 meters of a rush, and you actually get way more damage, and it actually sends enemy flying. So this can be used for heroes, but I love using this ult for units as well, in terms of opening things up and basically making sure that my units can come and rush in, and everything with it is really, really nice. Last but not least, we have the variations. So the variations are definitely different. We basically have Wandering Dragon, Water Dragon, and Sky Dragon, which is really good. These are all basically going off of whatever your skills are. So for example, I have Water Dragon as my Q. If I'm after I use my ult, if I want to use Water Dragon, I have to press Q so that I can get this second last variation, which this last variation goes off of piercing damage. You rush forward 6 meters again, and you do you send enemy soldiers flying and knock back enemy heroes. So basically, when I charge up Green Dragon, boom, I charge it up, but then I can immediately do that right after. So I think you have basically I think a 3 to 5 second window to actually press the button again before you basically go back to the standard skills of the the skills. Then we have Sky Dragon. So Sky Dragon over here is really good. I would really suggest this if you're like 1v1ing heroes or something, or you're trying to make sure a hero doesn't get out like a short sword or something. You basically wait for him to stand up and you basically sky hook him or something. Please be aware though, with this skill, you need to be very careful because of the fact that sometimes if the hero is still on the ground and you don't time it right, if the hero is still on the ground, you're basically going to just stab the ground. And it's a bit annoying because of the fact that like sometimes heroes take a little bit longer to get up, or sometimes heroes get up right like immediately and roll out when you're trying to do this skill. So I would really kind of avoid the skill unless it's basically that like 1v1 situation, or if you're really just trying to keep a hero CC'd. Last but not least is Wandering Dragon. This goes off your slashing damage, which this is one of the skills I really love to use because I typically always do Green Dragon and then I do Wandering Dragon whenever there's a big AoE, even multiple heroes and things. Because the thing is with Water Dragon is that it is really good, does a lot of damage. However, the Wandering Dragon basically when you do the second hit on it, it knocks back enemies, but then on the last hit, it actually sends enemy soldiers flying, and even heroes, it knocks back heroes. So this is really good for AoE type things where when units are just basically all blopped up and everything, you go in there and you do Wandering Dragon, you're basically going to be opening up everything for everybody, and it's going to be really nice because it is a great formation disruptor. But that is it for now. I am not going to be going over the units. I thought, it's 20 minutes long. I don't want to continue talking about it. So for the gameplay and everything, I'm going to be talking about what units to really use that I would really suggest and everything. I really just wanted to talk over the build, but I will talk over, when we talk in the gameplay, I'll talk over the units first, and then we'll go into more in depth on gameplay and things like that. I know I did talk a lot about the actual skills and everything, but I basically wanted to explain all that before going into anything else. So I hope this guide has helped you out a lot. Let me know down in the comment section below. If it hasn't helped you, I'm very sorry. If this build doesn't work for you, I'm very sorry. This is my build, and I've been loving and enjoying it, and you guys can watch my streams, and I dominate with it. But like I said, sorry that I didn't come out with basically doing the units. I didn't want to make this video 25 minutes to 30 minutes long trying to explain which are some of the best units to really use with Pike because of the fact of like what you can actually do with Pike. So it'll be better to even explain it in the actual gameplay guide anyways. So I will catch you guys later. Deuces, have a good one. Hopefully this guide has helped you out, and hopefully you can become a little bit of a better Pike player in terms of knowing the build, knowing which skills, like how the skills actually work and everything, and basically how you can dominate on the battlefield. All right, guys? Deuces, have a good one. I'll see you guys.